everyone, Janie here. Thanks for stopping by today. I truly appreciate you all so much. Today I have a project that I really hope you like, and if you do, it would mean so much to me if you would give this a thumbs up and share it. And also, I hope you consider subscribing if you haven't already, and if you do, I hope you click on that little bell next to the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Thank you all so much, and now let's get started. Hi everyone, Janie here, and today I'm going to be doing a beginner-friendly card tutorial. But before I do, I just want to talk about something funny. So I've been making cards for years, and I didn't know that they had names. For example, a slimline card. Didn't know that's what it was called. Or Z-folds or gate folds, things like that. I've been making them and didn't know what they were called. Well, then I get on YouTube and I discover that these things have names. So I have been making this style card for years, and I did not know this was called a bookfold. So I discovered this when I happened to be watching one of Paul Ford's videos on an exploding bookfold card that I thought sounded really exciting. And guess what? This is a bookfold, and that is exploding. I always thought that was pop-up, but it's exploding. So this is an exploding bookfold card, and thank you, Paul, for teaching me what this is actually called. And I'm going to put a link below to Paul's channel so you can watch his video, because he shows how to make this in a 5x7 size, and today I'm going to show you how to make it in an A2 size, which is 5.5 by 4 1/4. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is a piece of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock cut in half so that this is 4 1/4 by 11. And then you're going to need another piece that is 5.5 by 5.5. This is going to be for the explosion mechanism. This is for the card base. Okay, like I said, I'm going to make this beginner friendly. So if you have a scoreboard, you can use that. But most beginners do not have a scoreboard. So we're going to take this piece of cardstock and we are going to fold it in half like so. And I'm going to be using a bone folder. Okay, I got this really nifty one here, really solid. Got that at In Love Arts, and I'll put a link below to that. But this is your card base. Okay, now this is where if you have a scoreboard it would come in handy. But if you don't, what you need to do is take a ruler and measure 4 1/4 inches. Okay? And then you can use a pencil for this next part, or you can just use something sharp to mark it, okay? And we're going to come over here again to 4 1/4 inches, and we are going to mark it again. Okay, so you can barely see them, but the marks are there. And then you are going to take your ruler and line those up, and you are going to draw your line across there with a bone folder or a pen that doesn't write or something, just to leave your mark. Now, because I've done that without a pen or pencil, I'm going to do this off camera so that I can get my head a little bit closer to see where I've marked it. For those of you with a scoreboard, you are going to want to score it at 5.5 inches and at 4 1/4 inches. Okay, that is done, and we're going to set this aside for a second. Now we're going to take that piece that was 5.5 by 5.5, and we are going to fold it in half like so. Make sure you get it nice and even. And again, use something like a bone folder or a ruler or whatever you have to flatten this out. And I am having to make sure that I have it even. Okay, And now we're going to turn it the other way and fold it again. And this is easier if you have a scoreboard. And if you do, I'll show you here in a second. Okay, so now we have folded it both ways. And now we're going to take one corner over to the other corner. And we are going to fold that. Now, we're only going to do that on one side, not on both sides. And we're going to bring this back up and we are going to start folding on our folds, making sure that everything folds down into a little square, just like so. Okay, so that is how you make the exploding part of the card. So it was simple as folding it this way, folding it this way, and then folding it in half the other way, and it folds together just like so. Okay, if you have a scoreboard, you are going to score it at 2 3/4. You are going to turn it and score it at 2 3/4, and then you're going to find a line. For me, I have a pencil line that I put down the center, and you are going to line up both corners like so, and you are going to score it right down that middle, and that is all the scoring you need to do. This explosion piece can also be made using double-sided scrapbook paper like I did on this one. Okay, now that we have the card base and the explosion component done, here are some things you're going to need. You are going to need 2 4x4 pieces to go on the inside of the card. You are going to need 1 4x4 piece to go on the outside of the card. You're going to need another 4x4 piece that we're actually going to be cutting up, so it doesn't have to be 4x4, but I'll be showing you that in a little bit. You are going to need 2 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, and you are going to cut them right across like that. And then you are going to need 2 more squares that you'll probably put your sentiments on that are about 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. I just happen to have a stitched die that I used that fits perfectly in that spot. So now let's get started. Okay, you remember that one piece of 4x4 paper that I said we were going to be cutting up? Okay, well, I've cut off a 1-inch strip, so it's 1x4, and that is going to go right along this side. And then I've cut a piece that is 2 3/4 by 2.5, and that's going to go behind the snowman in the window. And then you have a couple of extra pieces that I'm sure you will find a use for somewhere, so don't throw those out. And here's the card base, and I'm actually going to fold it on that score line. So I'm going to fold it backwards, just like that, so that it definitely defines where it's going to open and close. And you can fold it the other way as well, just so that it's now flexible. If you were only going to glue paper on here, this is where you would glue it together on the inside, but not yet, because if you want to do something like put brads on here, you're going to want to do that first so you can hide the brads on the inside. Or in this case, I'm going to be putting some ribbon on here, and I want to be able to hide the ends of the ribbon. So I'm not going to glue that together yet. I am going to start gluing this together. So on this one, I just did the layers and I just glued a bow on it. And on this one, I glued one layer on and then some snowflakes. So there are a lot of options, and just make sure everything is lined up good. Okay, so now I'm going to be putting this ribbon on, and I want it to go across there, and then I am going to wrap it so that it goes underneath here and it's going to be hidden. But let me grab my double-sided tape first, because that's what I'm going to use to attach that. Okay, I'm just going to put the double-sided tape on the back side of the ribbon. Make sure you have the right side. This is the shiny side, this is not. Not all ribbon is that way, but just in case. Like I said, if it's something that you want to hide the other side of, then do it before you glue that together. Okay, there we go. I'll be putting a bow on there a little bit later as well. Okay, now with that done, now we're going to glue the inside here. And that will leave us with a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 area to work with. And that is my dog barking. I have no idea what he's going crazy about. But hold on one second and I will take care of that. While I'm taking care of that, I'm going to close that up for a minute. Our 7-month-old puppy is a bull mastiff. He's really big, and when he plays, he has a very big bark. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we are ready to start adding the other papers, and I am just going to speed this up while I do that, and you can just watch. Okay, we've got that done, and now we're going to move on to this piece. We're going to take that square that we'd cut into the 2 triangles, and we are going to be gluing them right on here. And again, let me speed this up for you. There we go. We now have the explosion part done. So before we add the explosion element to the inside, we're going to decorate the outside, and we are going to use the same die set that I used to do these 2 adorable cards, and it is called In Love Art Shop Snowman and Frame Die Set. These are all the dies that come with the die set, and I have already cut out all the pieces that I'm going to use. And I chose to cut out glitter cardstock and pearlescent cardstock and regular cardstock, but you can use whatever you want. On this one card, I even cut the scarf out of a plaid cardstock, and I think that is so cute. Or you can cut it all out in white and color it with your colored pencils or your alcohol ink markers. So before I start putting things together, I am going to use this Distress ink and Iced Spruce and this finger dauber from In Love Arts, and I'm just going to ink a little bit around the edges of things just to kind of give it a little bit of definition. And once I get all that done, we are going to start piecing this together. Okay, to put him together, we're going to start with that piece that is 2 3/4 by 2 1/2. And so we want it to be 2 3/4 inches tall. And we're going to pop those little eyeballs out of the snowman because we're not going to need those. And I'm just going to use some glue here. Put it on here. And I'm just going to pop him right down here on the bottom, just like that. And from there, everything else is pretty much self-explanatory, forgive me. And so I'm going to put little drops right there in his eye sockets and reach over to these itty bitty little tiny black pieces and get them put in. And in reality, I think what I'm going to do is speed this up so that you can watch me put this together. All right, now before we put the rest of this stuff on, so I'm going to move those pieces aside, but there you go. Like I said, everything really is self-explanatory. I mean, you can see where each piece goes. But before I put the rest on, I am going to put the frame on. And before I put the, well, yeah, I'm going to put the frame on. Let me wipe some of this glue off here. I've made a mess by leaving the cap off from it. Okay, so I'm just going to go around the edge of this piece. And I could go around the edge of the frame, but I just find this more controllable than trying to hold the frame. So I'll put that on there and then take the frame and lay that right over the top and make sure that everything lines up nicely. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And now we're going to take this and we are going to adhere it to the front of the card, right in the middle of that 4-inch square. So let me turn this over, add some more glue. And by the way, there's a million ways to decorate these cards. Right now, I have fallen in love with this die set. I just think it's just the cutest thing ever, and I really do like things that can be pieced together. So that's why I'm using this. And, you know, it's on my other cards. But I absolutely love, love, love this die set. I just think it is just so cute. Okay, now that we have that on there, the next thing we're going to put on is the scarf. And with the scarf, you can leave one end flapping out if you want. You know, like it's, you know, loose, like this end right here you could leave hanging out. But I am just going to, it's kind of hanging a little bit there. So there's the scarf. And now we have the hands. Now this is where it might get confusing, and you could probably figure out more ways to do it. But this is how they go. Don't get them confused with other directions. And, you know, I mean, you could probably put them on like that if you wanted to. But we're not. So I like die sets that have, you know, some versatility to them, and I think this qualifies as one of those. So there we go, because he's looking out the window with his, or in the window, depending on how you look at it. And he's just got his little hands up there, just like a kid looking out the window, resting their face on their hands. And it just works out so cute. Little elbows on the windowsill. Okay, now let's see. He needs a nose and a mouth, and there's actually, I'll get it up close and see if it focuses. There is a little round spot for a nose, and you may want to just color that in, or you may want to draw a carrot on his face if you would like. But I am not. I'm going to be using my Spectrum Noir marker here, alcohol ink marker. See if that'll focus. Well, let me tell you what it says. It says, see if the side will focus. It says GB3. And so I can get really close to that. I'm going to do that off camera. And I'm also going to use a black jelly roll pen because if you get really close, focus, there's actually a little mouth there. A little tiny mouth right there. So I'm going to do both of those off camera since I'm going to have to stick my nose on it, and I'll be right back. And there is his cute little face. Isn't that just adorable? Okay, so I have something else to add to the front, and I can add it down here or up here. Decisions. I think I'm going to put this one at the top. I've been doing the other ones at the bottom, but I think it's time to change things up a little bit. And just a little Merry Christmas banner. So I want to do that with some foam tape. And I'll just put a little foam tape across the back. And, I'm sure you have ideas of what you would like to, add. It doesn't have to be, a Merry Christmas banner. You probably have other cool things you can add. But I am just going to add this right here. Kind of get an idea of what looks like center to me. And I think that looks good. What do you think? I could have put it down a little bit further. I wonder if it'll come off. Nope, I'm just going to leave it where it's at. I'm not going to mess with it. But I could have put it down so that it touched right there on the top. That would have been the smart thing to do. Okay, so if you're wondering why I'm decorating the front before putting the mechanism on the inside, it was just so that things would lay flat. Because once that's in there, it's not going to lay flat anymore. But now it is time to put that on the inside. And this is actually a little tricky because you want to make sure that you don't have this, upside down or sideways, right? Because you could end up with it in there upside down. So make sure that it's facing the correct way when you fold it. And I know I'm turning it the wrong way, but we're going to do the back side first. So put my glue on here. Now I prefer wet glue for this type of thing. I do believe in the long run it holds stronger, especially since it's going to be opened and closed a lot. And I don't want to take a chance with double-sided tape. Okay, we're going to turn that over, and again, make sure it's going the right direction. Fold that up, and we are going to center it. We're not going to put this over the score line, okay? We have to make sure that this still opens and closes. And make sure that everything looks centered. You can eyeball it. You can line it up on something like this. And you can use a ruler, whatever, to make sure that you have that centered on there right. And now we're going to put the glue on the top. And then I'm going to go back and add that bow on the front. I didn't add that yet because I didn't want it to get in the way of me opening this up all the way. So, got that on there. Fold that over. And we just need to wait for that to dry. And while we're waiting for that to dry, I am going to add this bow on there. And use a little bit more of my beacon here. As you can see, if you don't already know, beacon is my go-to adhesive. Okay, let me turn this. Let's see. There we go. That looks about centered to me. Pull that down a little bit. Pull that down a little bit. Close enough. There we go. Isn't that just adorable? I know, I'm still moving it. I just want to make sure I have it in the right place. Okay, we're going to call that good. So there we have an absolutely adorable card. And when you open it, it explodes and it is so cute. It has so many possibilities, not just for Christmas. In fact, I'm going to be using this exact same card fold to make a birthday card for my brother-in-law. So there you go. Well, I promised you a beginner easy card fold, and this card fold did not require any special tools, just a ruler and a pair of scissors, or a paper trimmer. Of course, if you have a scoring board, that's helpful, but these folds are so simple, you don't need one. And yes, I use that adorable die set from In Love Arts, but if you don't have a die cutting machine like a Cuttlebug or a Big Shot, you can always use cutouts or other embellishments to decorate. And you know, I always try to find links to everything I use, but that paper and stamp set I used are old and no longer available. But there will be links below in the description box to that adorable snowman die set from In Love Arts, as well as a couple of other things and a 25% off discount code to In Love Arts should you decide to shop there. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye. If you like this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, I hope you consider that too. And if you do, be sure to click the little bell next to the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos or giveaways. And I hope you stop by Crafters Castle on Facebook and also Crafters Castle Challenge blog to enter your creations.